I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Did you want to... Pardon me?
They are gathered in this television studio with Fred Rodgers, an adult who cares just about them. His reward is the love of millions of children.
I want to tell you something.
What would you like?
I like you.
I like you, my dear. Thank you very much for telling me that.
We had a director that once said to me, you take all of the elements that make good television and do the exact opposite, you have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Low production values, simple set, unlikely star. Yet, it worked. Because he was saying something really important.
Love is at the root of everything.
25%.
All learning,
Let the enemy keep it
all
up.
parenting, all relationships, love or the lack of it. And what we see and hear on the screen is part of who we become.
He had a singular vision of kindness and love. But a question that I think of a lot in terms of Fred is whether his attempt to influence America succeeded or not.
I was all set to go to the seminary to become a minister. But I went home my senior year for a vacation, and I saw this new thing called television.
Missile launch detected.
And I saw people throwing pies in each other's faces. And I thought, this could be a wonderful tool. Why is it being used this way? And so I said to my parents, I don't think I'll go to seminary right away. I think maybe I'll go into television. And they said, "Wait, but you've never even seen it."
Station WQED is located in the heart of Pittsburgh.
His father told him about this new station that was coming along here. It was called Educational Television.
Targeting.
Nobody wanted to do a children's program. And I said, well, we need a children's program. And I said, well, I'll produce it and play some music in the background. We'll get some free films, and Josie, you can introduce them. And then we discovered the awful fact that when you got free film, it was often brittle, and it would break. And if you were on the air live, you had to do something. Somebody had given me this little tiny puppet. I pushed it through the clock and said,
"Hi, Josie, it's 5:02 and Columbus discovered America in 1492.
And then just went right back in. And that's how the puppetry began. We never expected it. There's so much of it was the necessity being the mother of that invention.
My friend, Daniel Striped the Tiger.
Target destroyed.
How do you do?
The interesting thing was Dad remembered being 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 years old. That inner child never really went away.
Targeting.
I had every imaginable job, even scarlet fever. Whenever I was quarantined, I would be in bed.
Flak D6.
I would
Flak
put up
games,
my knees
D6.
and they would go out all over, covered with sheets.
Targeting.
D6, D6.
I'd have all these little figures moving around, and I'd make them talk. I had to make up a lot of my own fun.
Take that. What's the matter?
Over time, Fred became unsatisfied with the Children's Corner. He thought that it was simple and slapstick. And he said he really wanted to concentrate on the seminary, so he wanted to stop for a while.
Targeting.
his ordination was as an evangelist for television.
Targeting.
It was pretty way out there for the Presbyterian Church.
With television, Fred wanted to focus on the very
Targeting.
What do you think? Lion, great.
Targeting.
Back in the 1950s, there was a school of people at the university
Target destroyed.
looking at early childhood education.
Targeting. Targeting. Target destroyed.
They felt that physicians needed a training ground so that they had a sense of where human behavior was coming from the very beginning.
Targeting.
Dr. Benjamin Spock was part of it. Barry Brazelton, the famous pediatrician, was a part of it. Eric Erickson, the extraordinary psychologist, was a part of it. And Fred's part of that group. He became part of the group as a student of Margaret Farland.
Fred, I think to the child, the television program between you and the child is a real relationship.
For him to say the feelings of a young child are every bit as powerful as our adult feelings. He was radical. I know everyone says that, but he was radical.
I've always felt that I didn't need to put on a funny hat or jump through the hoop to have a relationship with a child. I went to visit with a new nursery school. I had never met these children before, and I walked in. There was a long stare from most of them, and one little boy by the name of Thatcher spoke first. And all he said was, "My doggie's ear came off in the automatic washer." And there was silence, just complete silence. It was as if, "This is your test, Mr. Rodgers. Are you still in touch with childhood?" And so I said, "Sometimes that happens to toys, doesn't it? Their ears come off or their legs come off, but that never happens to us. Our ears don't come off, our noses don't come off, our arms don't come off." And Thatcher's eyes were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he said, "And our legs don't come off?" And I said, "No, they don't." And immediately, all of the other children started asking questions, and poignant questions. It was just as if, "We shall now open the door. You have passed the test. You may come in."
And what he wanted to do was to take all of that he learned in television work, add to that a sense of ministry and the child development background. It became Mr. Rodgers' Neighborhood.
A neighborhood was a place where, at times that you felt worried, scared, unsafe, would take care of you, would provide understanding, safety. That's what the neighborhood was for Fred.
Target spotted.
Targeting.
Television has the chance of building a real community out of an entire country.
Target destroyed.
GG.
The neighborhood is not a fantasy place where all these different people got together and everything was happily ever after. When you have diverse people together with their different opinions, you have conflict. And that's what happens in the neighborhood. You have conflict, real conflict.
Halt, trolley. Give me your name, rank, and serial number. King Friday the 13th,
establishes border guard. King against